different types of trumpet plants down there. We got down, they're all different colors that you'll enjoy looking at. And to give you a little bit of idea on the trumpet plants, mainly they are tubes. Those are big ones that you'll see down there. And they have an odor that they put out that attracts insects. And insects will come and try to find out where that smell's coming from, and they'll crawl down inside that trumpet and crawl down in the hole. The thing is, there are hairs that go down in all of those. And once they get down, they can't get back out. The hairs keep them in. And consequently, that's the stuff that they eat and use for fertilizer, the insects. So they destroy that. And you can, if you're really interested, you can take one of those trumpet plants, the long and tall one, split it open, and look at the insects that it collects. It's a big assortment of insects in there. Also, you want to know how we got here. First of all, thousands of years ago, we had a storm that came over this eastern part of the United States. And it had rockets in it, stone rockets. Probably it was falling apart of some kind of star or some kind of land, because when it came over, it dropped big rocks down that hit the earth. And there are many of them in eastern North Carolina. They're called North Carolina deposit holes. And we're standing in one right now. This is one where the rocket hit. And what happened when they hit is made big holes, and they fill with water. Lake Waccamaw is one that still has the water in it. And we had probably 6 of those rockets that hit New Hanover County. The big shopping center up here on the corner is in the middle of another one. What happened was they filled with water and started growing things like moss, which grows in water, and that's what's happened to the places where the Venus flytraps are. And the Venus flytraps and the flytraps all found they like wet land, where the moss is, sandy ground, and sunshine. Not too much sunshine. We have only had 12 inches of rain this year so far. We normally have 26 inches, so we're less than half the amount of rain we should have had up to this point in the year. Now what happened, I came over looking for flytraps. Many years ago, I got interested. The way I got interested, I'll have to tell you. It started out, my family, my grandmother and grandfather came from Germany. And they came and bought a house over on Red Cross Street. I hope you know where Red Cross Street is. At the time, it led to Oakdale Cemetery. It was the only way to get to Oakdale Cemetery. And what they did, they built a house there. And she, being German, loved flowers. So she planted flowers in her front yard. And as it so happened, people going to Oakdale Cemetery saw all these flowers blooming, and they stopped in and would say, "Let me buy some of those flowers to take to the cemetery." And so she got into the florist business. So that's how the business started in 1864. About 1900, my father had taken it over when he got up, and it was his mother and father had just left. So he got the business in early 1900, so did his children. My brother and I were born about that same area, the first or second, or 10 years of each century, and we got into the florist business. So we were naturally born loving growing around us, everything that grows around us. Trees, the weeds, the flowers, and we've watched the wonderful growing of animals and wood. So it used to be that we'd go out and just visit everything. That's how I became familiar with this area. You might be interested in that. Came over and found that this area where we're walking down there was wet and full of Venus flytraps. So I began helping them by picking the flytrap seed. Each year planting 10 or 20,000 seeds back on the place so we'd have them every year come back. what happened was, start with, why they are down there, why the flytraps are down there, what made that area strange. If you'll notice when you get down there, looks like a street was cut from one end to the other, about a block and a half long. What happened, this area is very much recognized as a place to build houses. Oleander, for instance, was going real well in the last 50 or 100 years. Hugh McCrae owned this land, real estate agent Hugh McCrae. He was very interested in it because of the beautiful pine trees and the area of soil. Everything around here was in beautiful condition as it still is. So they decided to make it better. So he took a bulldozer, went down where that cut is, and cut a road so he could get in there and build houses all over here. What happened was it filled with water. The government found out about it and restricted them. No homes will be here because of high water level. So he couldn't build anything once he got that built. And that's why we have it here now. It's nice that we do have it. And the city, Wilmington, is now in charge of it. Hugh McCrae has given it to them to keep until it gets to the point that it can't be used anymore. But they're going to have it for a long time. This is a nice place to come and visit. I think you'll find that there are 3 different kinds of plants you'll find around here. The Venus flytrap, the pitcher plants, and sundew, which is a small little plant that puts up a little red or yellow flower, and it attracts insects to it that light on it because it draws them with a scent. And when it hits the thing, it's sticky, very sticky. And consequently, the flies or mosquitoes or whatever it is hit it, stick onto it, and they die sitting there. So consequently, they are carnivorous plants. And I think one of the nice things about the Venus flytrap is if you'll go down and look and see some of them in a lab.
It's in your chair.
Got it. Did you want the plant, so?
Yeah. If you'll find one like this here, if you want to buy one, they've got them. If you find one down here you want to test, you can look at it, and it's red in the center where the trap is. Pictures in these books. And what happens is that the plant stays open. The sun opens it up. Inside the flytrap, there are 3 hairs on either side. They're trigger hairs that are on either side. You have to touch one of those and then touch another one, either the same one or another one the second time, and then it slams shut. And it'll catch the insects there and use it for digestion like the trumpet plants do. Now, I've got books up here, pictures that I've taken of this area. And if you want to, after I found out about this, we've tried to publicize it. First time that it was recognized was the governor of North Carolina. The first governor found out about flytraps, and it so interested him, he got son and sent him to the King of England. And consequently, it was well known around the world that Wilmington is the place for it. And you'll like to know that they only grow within about a 50 to 60 mile radius of where you're standing right now. To go over into Pender County a little bit, and a little bit into Abundant County, into the green swamp. The swamps is where you'll generally find them. Now, if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. If anybody has anything that they're curious about, come look at these books. I think that you would like to see the books.
Kids, y'all have any questions for Mr. Reeder?
There's 2 books here that are about carnivorous plants. And there are all kinds of carnivorous plants all over the world. Plenty of them that eat insects. And they've got them in these books, what they are. If you're interested, you can look and maybe find out. If you've got any questions, I'll be glad to answer them for you. Yes, sir.
That storm you're talking about, the Flytraps had to be here before that storm hit, right? I mean, did the storm just brought them into this particular area of Wilmington?
I think that they grew here because of the wet area. They might have been here because of the swamps. That would have been something simple. But nobody knows. There was no record after that era 50,000 years ago. And I'm sure there must have been something here that brought them. They might have come from those meteors that struck them. The only way they could have been started. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, hi. How are you? Oh, there you are.
Beg your pardon? No. They do not grow in Florida. They grow a little bit in South Carolina, the northern part of South Carolina, not in Virginia, just within a 50 to 60 mile radius of Wilmington, North Carolina. Yeah.
If the fly is still moving around in the fly trap, won't the fly trap get tighter to squeeze them?
Right. Yes, the fly trap gets tight and squeezes. Yeah, that's what happens. The fly trap closes very tightly and kills the fly or the insect, and consequently dissolves it and uses it for food.
You want to tell your Barbara Walters story? Because I think that's pretty funny.
Which,
Your Barbara Walters story.
yeah, because of the interest in fly traps, I've been on 3 national broadcasts. I was on the Today program with Barbara Walters in Washington, and also on the NBC show in New York City. And then there was a program, maybe you remember, some years ago, it was called a TV show called That's Incredible. And they invited me to go out to California and flew me out there, and I took fly traps and trumpet plants out and did the show there. So it's been an interesting thing to be connected with the fly traps and insectivorous plants.
But what happened with Barbara? Because that's a funny story.
Oh, Barbara, when I got there, the man who was in charge of the program said to me, "Did you bring something to feed the fly traps with?" And I said, "No, I didn't." He said, "Well, you've got to feed them and show the public what happened." So this was about 5 o'clock in the morning before the 8 o'clock show with Barbara. So I went out in front of the studio where there were some bushes and killed a few flies or bugs and whatnot. I went inside, and when the show started, I put the bugs down on the table next to the fly trap. Barbara came in and put her arm down and she introduced herself, and we talked. I said, "Just be careful you don't hit those fly trap animals next to you." She looked down and screamed. So it was something that we had good laughs on TV.
I'm going to hint a little bit because I know a little bit more about this because we've been out here for many, many years. It's been about almost 30 years that you've been out here.
Right.
But there are some hybrids back there that didn't start out here. So, like the leucophilia. So how you brought the seed in from Georgia, because there's one that's not supposed to be here but grows here because of the seed.
Yeah, the leucophilia grow all over the world, but there's a beautiful white one that grows in Florida on the Gulf of Mexico. And I've gotten seeds from there, brought them up here and sowed them so we'd have that yellow.
I'll go back to my dad.
Leucophilia over here. Any other questions?
Mr. Reeder?
Yeah.
Do these plants have a season? In other words, do they die off in the winter, or are they all year round? Or
That's interesting because they're a year-round plant until the frost hits them all, and that kills them all except the roots. And then they come back.
okay, because much of it is dried. Of course, we've had a very hot spell here, and I presume that was certainly part of the issue with all the dry weather and hot weather we've had the past few days.
Any other questions?
Which one is harder to grow, the pitcher or the Venus flytrap?
I think you'll find the pitcher plant is easier to
Well,
grow.
you're making a
Flytrap
picture of.
is rather difficult.
You've got a question down here?
This young man.
Yes, sir.
Can we touch the price on that fly trap and see if it...
You can touch it, yes.
Okay.
There is a law that was passed by the state charging $500 if anybody went out and dug a fly trap. That's why we have a police check here all the time, just to be sure nobody's getting the fly trap. $500 to do